Okay, so let's get into it. The Legion of Doom met, and that's the Big Ten and SEC, met in Nashville. Interesting line from SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey on looking ahead to CFP changes. This just has to go incredibly well. This has to be a successful launch. This isn't the time to talk about governance in 26 or format in 26, but the immediate implementation is in front of us. Follow that up with Ralph Russo responded to that tweet, and Scott Docterman will be with us in about 20 minutes. The selection committee is really on notice, and I'm not sure it's fair because everybody is ready to pounce from different angles. So what does this mean? Let me translate the Sankey for you. This is from Ross Dellinger's article. Put simply, the Big Ten and SEC plan to reshape college athletics. They're the drivers of the car now, the operators of the machinery, the captains of the ship. This we already knew. Here's another quote from Greg Sankey, and this is in Ross Dellinger's article about it. Amidst Sankey offered sharp criticism about the timing of the release of the announcement of Project Rudy in college sports tomorrow. I don't think it's a coincidence that they ramped up their public relations scheme around our meeting.
Scheme?
Scheme.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like, there's a word. Like, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Most, if not all, the concepts proposed can be done by the two leagues or the power conference as a whole, says Tony Petitti. I have yet to see anything in any plan that we couldn't do ourselves. It's basically scheduling more good games and reorganize the way you play those games. Okay. And what of bowl games? It remains uncertain, but as one leader told Yahoo Sports recently, the days of schools losing money by playing in bowl games is over. So I guess that's good news. But not if you're the Yankee Girl Tobacco Bowl.
Right.
That one's not going to happen. So that's probably not good news. But we'll see how that goes. So what I'm going to translate this out to you is that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are coming out and saying nothing is going to happen unless we want it to. Number two, Greg Sankey is telling the committee, you have to get this right. And if you think, Paul, you're nuts, why would he do that? He doesn't need to do that. And telling the committee you need to get this right, does that mean making sure that, like, maybe a deserving ACC or Big 12 team gets in over an equally deserving SEC team when you flip a coin? Or does that mean, oh, you saw what I did to Tallahassee? I broke those sumbitches. I broke them. So I'll do it to everybody.
Yeah.
This is the SEC gets everybody the SEC wants, and then you can start filling it in. That's what that is to me.
That's what I interpreted it too, because what they were wanting the 4 automatic bids for each conference, right? Like the SEC and Big Ten automatically get 4. That's what they were pushing for. I think that's kind of how you look at this, is saying you better get it right. You better make sure that we have at least 3 or 4 coming out of our conference. You better make sure the Big Ten has 3 or 4 coming out of there, and then let everybody else just kind of lay as it be. They're just, this is a power move. This is all this is. It's them letting them know that we're not going to be challenged by anybody. Everything, the future of college football is going to run through us. And there's no bows about it. They're not hiding anything. It's blatant. It's very disturbing kind of where we're at right now with this, but yeah, they're not hiding anything. They're letting you know, they're letting the committee know that you better make this where we are at the forefront of it. Let everybody else fall in behind us because we run everything.
Yeah. That to me is the really scary part.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's where, I mean, you get closer and closer, and when people tell you what their intentions are, you should believe them. You should listen to them, that this is what they are. And they are getting more and more thinly veiled. Like, the curtain's down. Mm-hmm. The curtain's down. And I have a hard time, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, mostly because really well thought out conspiracies like involve about 6 people. Mm-hmm. Like, once you get over 6, hard to really maintain.
Yeah, loose lips.
Exactly. That's why anybody who believes the moon landing is fake or the Earth is flat, it's not like there's too many people that would have to keep that secret, you know. Like for the moon landing alone, I saw a documentary on it, and it was basically like 15,000 people would have to have agreed to keep that secret.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. So, and like with the like flat Earth, like why would every boat captain have to like?
Yeah, that one's. Like, I could get down with the moon landing more than the flat Earth thing.
Yeah, I mean, like
definitely could.
Yeah, the moon landing. Like, here's the thing, though: the moon landing disproves the flat Earth.
Right?
Thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I'm not like I don't think there's a lot of cabals of things going. Like even the stuff that tries to be a conspiracy in politics. Again, we know about almost all of them, right? They all come out. Like, then it's, can you stop it? Like, can you vote against something that you don't like, or can you do this? But most of the things are at least out there. Like, you would know, kind of know, like, who's pulling strings. Because, again, like, they're not, like, especially, like, really wealthy people are not obvious about what they want.
Yeah.
You know, especially now. So they may not do a lot of interviews, but you know, it's not, when you see how much money they spend on a certain thing, it's not like their intentions are cloudy. Like, hey, he gave all this money to this super PAC for this guy. Gee, I wonder how he feels about this issue. You're like, well, I think you know.
Yeah.
I think you know. The check said it all the way around. And what Greg Sankey and Tony Batiti are saying is that our intention is this. This is who we want to be. This is where we're going to go. If the other two conferences are involved, good for them. If they're not, then that's fine with us too. We don't care. And it's a very bleak look for the future of college athletics when you have two of the power brokers just straight up saying, it all runs through us and we don't care. And look, if they decide to do this on their own, as long as it's inclusive, I'm okay if we have that. Where I will stop is that an SEC and Big Ten Super League, if Greg Sankey and Tony Batiti and the television networks think that is the best thing, or a Super League in general of 24 or 32 teams that is the best brands, if they think that is beneficial to college football in the slightest and college athletics in the slightest, they are wrong. They are dead wrong. And college football is about regionality. Like, it's about that. Like, there are that's why I think they're going to run into with these big conferences, and we've talked about it a lot, where eventually, like, ACC fans are like, yeah, I just don't get excited about playing Cal. The Pac-12 is the best example of it. They tried to force Colorado on 2 or 3 different people as the rival, and they're like, the convenient thing was like, oh, Oregon, legal weed bowl. Like, that's going to be the thing. And neither Colorado or Oregon fans felt any kind of way about each other. Like, yeah, we want to win the game, but like,
there's not personal. There's not a vendetta or anything. Yeah.
This isn't the border war or anything like that. Like, this isn't, you know, like all of that. Like, this isn't, yeah, what do they call Oregon State? Why am I forgetting? It's not the border war.
Oh, the Civil War?
The Civil War, yeah. This isn't the Civil War to us. This isn't Washington. This isn't USC. Like, you know, maybe 50 years from now, over 50 games.
Yeah, but it's going to take that.
Something's going to happen repeatedly that makes it that. But you can't just decide it's a rivalry.
Right.
They try to do it, like the SEC experienced this a little bit, and I would say it's like on the secondary tier, but A&M and LSU, like,
well, even a step further, it was A&M and South Carolina. Remember?
Yeah, A&M and South Carolina. We're going to build that rivalry.
Yeah,
and both of them were like,
okay,
all right. I mean,
because A&M went out. Remember, they did the yell at the Capitol and all that that first night. They were trying to make it something, and it just never evolved. And they never really played each other consistently either.
Yeah, you know what's the funny thing? Like, it wasn't a back and forth, series either. You know, like it was. Like the only game I remember was Kenny Hill going out and having this monster game before his A&M career came to a screeching halt in front of my eyes in Tuscaloosa. Like, you watched it and you're like, yeah, he's not playing again.
Yeah, he tried to go with the Kenny Trill thing.
No, he's come a long way since then. Like, he's coaching and all that, but that was, like, looking back on it, was hard to, like, it's a painful thing to see because you just watched a kid like, oh, well, this is over.
Yeah.
Like, it was over. Absolutely over. Alabama just, like, took him and, like, like Godzilla. Dropped down the parts they didn't want. You know, it was crazy. So you can't just create things. And that's the thing, if they put let's just say it's just the SEC and Big Ten, and the only way they can get it done and the only way they have enough support is to drag along the teams that are not the big brands. You know, Purdue, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, all kind of band together and be like, listen, we're not going to vote for this unless we are guaranteed a spot.
See, I wouldn't have a problem with the Super League if it was like just 32 teams that were like the bluest of the blue bloods, and then everybody else played like a traditional college football. I think you could make it work like that.
I still don't really want to see that. Like, because then you're taking away that. And like, part of it is that the blue bloods are saying, well, it's okay. Like, it's okay if we lose to LSU. It is not okay if we lose to Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's Bro, a loss is a loss. Yeah. Like, you know, I know that it's not the same, and I know that, but I find that, and like it is, it's every fan base has a team they look down on, and you say you shouldn't lose to this, but that's all changing right now. Like, that is all, like, Alabama and Vanderbilt is not the only upset that's happening. No. There's a lot of them happening. There's a lot of closer games than used to be happening because of the distribution of talent now. So college football is getting better in a lot of regards, and then they're still trying to ruin it in my eyes. Because if they want to do that, so if you see that, you're going to run into the same problem, because you're going to have people, you know, at Washington going, well, I don't care about Vanderbilt or Kentucky. Like, is that who we're playing this week?
Right.
Like, all right.
But I mean, I also think, though, if you did that and you created a Super League and then you took everybody else, you could go back to more regionality. I think you could create that regionality again and have it spur off like that. And I think you could have success with it. And I'm also one that I believe the G5 should have their own thing.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think if you want to separate off the G5 because there's no way that they can keep financially competitive in this, there's no way. I really like Joe Moglia's proposal, where it was like, this is one subdivision, this is the other one, and break up the FBS. I'm for that. I'm just not for a 32 team Super League.
Right.
I'm not for that. I just don't. I think you leave too much out of it. Like, because if I want to see good games, like, there are teams. I don't want NC State not to be in that. They've won some big games in their life. I don't want Texas Tech not to be in that. I don't want TCU or Baylor or teams that have competed for the college, Cincinnati, like teams that have been in the college football playoff or been in the consideration for it, to just all of a sudden not be in it because, again, of a decision made 100 years ago. Like, that's the other thing that's ridiculous in all of this. And so they're just sitting there right now telling you that this is how it's going to be. So I wanted to spend a lot of the time, the first part of the show, talking about it, because, again, like, if as college football fans, we are not in a lot of control of this. We are not in any control of it. They're going to do whatever they think our TV eyeballs are going to watch until our TV eyeballs aren't going to watch that anymore. And so right now, every bet they make has paid off because they can set up games and ratings where it's going to be big and they know how it works. But you can put a lot of games on a network spot in a primetime space, and it doesn't have to be Alabama versus Tennessee.
If it's on the right network, it's going to draw eyes.
It's going to run the right network. It's going to draw a lot of eyes anyway. Now it may not draw as many eyes as Ohio State, Michigan 3 weeks later.
No.
But if you put Indiana and Nebraska at 3:30 on CBS, people are going to watch that game. Maybe it's not as big a deal because Indiana is not as big of a brand, or, people have forgotten how good Nebraska used to be or how good they are right now. But that game's next week.
They have a hell of a fan base. They'll show up.
But That to me is maybe the best game of next week. Is Nebraska and Indiana. Both of them are off this week and they play next week. It's an 11 o'clock kick. I guarantee it's going to get a great number. It's going to get a great number. But I do think that that would be one I would want, like, certainly out in front somewhere for sure. But there could be that. So I don't know. But Urban Engine, by the way, tells me to stick to sports and says the logic is stupid AF. 15,000 people can't keep a secret. 15,000 of how many people? Never mind the fact that 15,000 people can all share the same secret without even knowing each other. No. Like, all it takes is one of those 15,000 to be like, hey, by the way, the moon landing was fake.
Yeah.
No, that's no. A multi-level conspiracy, like, I'm guessing he's a flat earther or a moon landing was fake guy. So, I don't know. You can't, like, there's too many. The more people are involved in something, the more chance you have to lose the.
You just have to have the leverage.
Okay.
If you have the leverage.
Let me tell you this. What Texas, and I'm going to stick to sports there, Urban Engine. I'm going to throw this out there.
Go for it.
Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay.
How many people you think knew about that until Brent Zwerneman? I guarantee you it was less than 10.
Oh, probably.
Because you know who didn't know about it? Bob Bowlesby.
Nope.
The commissioner of that league. So I'm thinking it's a couple people at Texas, a couple people at Oklahoma,
and Sankey.
Greg Sankey, and ESPN.
Yup.
That's who I bet knew about it. I'm betting no one else did.
No.
Because if you get outside of that circle,
you're screwed. It's
well,
not happening.
it wouldn't have been like if Bob Bowlesby had found that out, that they were trying to do that before they'd actually made the deal, it would have taken a lot longer, and there would have been a lot of
a lot more money to get out too.
Oh yeah, like
a lot more.
They did it all, and all of a sudden it was introduced. Like, okay, so if you expand that circle out to more than a few people, it's getting out. It is getting out. Mm-hmm. And whoever told Brett Zwerneman about it
was told to, probably.
Was probably told to. Was like, okay, pick somebody and go. You know, so, and it wasn't Texas or Oklahoma that he got it from, and it wasn't A&M that he got it from. It was somebody, I think, at the SEC who was like, okay, we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. Like, this is going to be our thing. So, yeah. I don't know. I think that you, like, doing this, like, there's not, like, that's why I said there's no grand conspiracy here. But 15,000 people can share the same secret. No. Not when they're all involved in the same, like, it's the same thing. Like, 15,000 people can all, like, have the same exact secret about, like, something about their life, right? Something about who they are, you know, that is the same, but they're not the same person, you know. But yeah, no, that's not flawed logic. That's logic. Like, the more people you involve in something, the bigger chance it has of being exposed. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no. But yeah, that's why it's Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and they're surrogates.
And that's it. Yeah.
And that's it. That's why they're not involving Brett Yormark and Jim Phillips, because they want an opportunity to move on without them if it's presented to them. If it works out for them. That's what I'm saying here. So real quick, let's get through the rest of this.
Okay.
Because otherwise, why did we even send it? Some news and notes. Purdue quarterback Hudson Card out this week. Freshman Ryan Brown will make his first start against Illinois, which is not.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Which is not a great team. They're tough, man. Illinois is really tough, and they're physical and they're mad. And Purdue's been shaky. Hudson Card hasn't. The offense wasn't obviously great.
Yeah, Graham Harrell's gone. So
yeah, we saw. Were you there at that state championship game that he came in?
Hudson Card.
Yeah, when he was at Lake Travis.
I remember.
So they lost to Allen.
I don't remember. I wasn't at
game.
That one.
It was right before Midway lost to
Longview.
Cy-Fair.
Yeah.
To Cy-Fair. It was the game that was right before it at AT&T Stadium, and he was the sophomore, and I think it was Charlie Brewer Charlie Brewer was hurt and went out, and then Hudson came in and played unbelievable. Was great, and he was like already like everybody's like, well, he's going to commit to Texas.
Yeah,
and then 6 months later, it's like Hudson Card's committed to Texas, and you're like, oh.
The one I remember like that was the one with when Stowers got hurt and Eli, what's his name at Oklahoma that just got benched, came in and took over. That's
Jackson
Arnold. That's the one I remember.
Yeah. No, this is a different one. All right, Ross Dellinger, former LSU team captain Greg Brooks is suing LSU and its affiliated medical center per documents. He accuses coaches, trainers of negligence and claims a surgeon left him permanently disabled a year after surgery to remove a brain tumor. Brooks can't walk. Oof.
Yeah, this is an ugly story. It's you don't want to judge anything in a circumstance like this, but there's some interesting nuggets in Ross Dellinger's article. Like he was having issues in practice. They ran a concussion scan on him, and it showed up negative. The next day he was out there, he was having vertigo symptoms. I don't know. He's claiming that LSU forced this surgery on this one specific doctor, and he never was allowed to get a second consultation. At the same time, I think that's something where you and your family, with it's a medical situation, should probably get involved more and dig a little deeper into that. But I don't really know what the full circumstance. It just sucks all the way around. Greg was a really good player, and you just hate for a circumstance like this to unfold for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really does. So hopefully maybe he can get better or something like that. I don't know, but
I don't know. Man.
It doesn't sound good. All right, USF, the American Conference, announced that the game between South Florida and Memphis has been moved to Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Camping World used to be called the Citrus Bowl, so they're not playing at the Bounce House. Believe me, that's not going to happen. Like, even in the most generous of times, like, it's not going to happen. They're going to play in Orlando. Tampa made it through better, I think, than they thought they were in this hurricane, but there's still a lot of devastation along the coast there in Florida. Central Florida kind of took it a little more on the chin than I think they were, but Orlando, for the most part, I've talked to friends in all parts of it. Haven't heard a lot from Fort Myers yet. They're still trying to pick themselves off the mat too. But that game's going to be in Orlando. Actually, my college roommate, I talked to him during the hurricane. He's like, yeah, our power's out. I'm like, well, don't let me waste your battery. So I sent him a text, and then they got power back last night and came through all right. But the river near their house is like really high, and he's like, there's helicopters like all the time. So, okay. We're going to go to break. We'll do these college basketball notes a little bit later in the show.
Do you want to do that video real quick?
Yeah, show this video. This is former LSU running back Ali Broussard talking about what it was like when you fumbled the ball under Nick Saban.
Freshman year against Arizona, I had 2 fumbles. The first game being national televised, 2 fumbles. And a second fumble, I just looked up. I'm on the ground. I could see like steam coming out his ears. I'm just hoping the ground would have just sucked me in. I didn't want to get up. So I get up, he just chewing me out but then that whole week before the game, walking around campus holding the football, and whoever would take the football out, I would have to probably run laps. But I remember that moment. I just had to carry the football in class. So I'm sitting in class trying to do a test, and the guys trying to knock the ball out.
That reminded me of Omar Epps in the program. 100%, dude.
So what came first? Coaches making players do that, or the program and then coaches making players do that?
I think
probably
it had
coaches
to come
first.
from
Had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
It did, but the fact that you can hear that in real life, that like Omar Epps in the program was a real thing.
You just see that. I just saw the scene of him. The desks are flying everywhere, and he gets the ball. He's looking up at the teacher. Like, it was just funny as hell.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah. No, Omar Epps came out good in that movie. He got Halle Berry.
Yeah,
yeah. That was a good deal.
He had a good run of movies.
Yeah, he doesn't have like that one. I mean,
Program's my favorite football movie, hands down.
Oh,
hands down.
Who's your favorite character? I tell you, my least favorite one. It's Joe Kane. Don't like,
man.
he just didn't know, like, I wanted him to be back and all, but like I was kind of annoyed. But
My favorite character, I don't want to say Latimer
It's
because
Latimer.
I mean, I know.
It's Latimer.
Like, I saw
It's
the video
okay.
painting his face today and everything.
Okay, who's your favorite character in the Dark Knight? It's the Joker.
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
got to be Latimer. I mean,
Yeah.
he's God. When he's like first string, goes out beating his head into the glass.
yeah.
He's a trip,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, absolutely. So,